right? So once you get a question, we are already given guidance here that this is relating to what T. So I already said in our previous classes that it's always advisable that you start off with the required section here, right? You find out the questions that you think you can answer quickly, the ones that you are going to be faster, where you have an advantage on, right? So you want to tackle those questions first, right? So since on my part, over the past exams, I think I've been changed now. I jump to theory first, but then it's always nice if I can do the theory much later, so I can give you time to work on the theory, right? So I can give you time to work on the theory. So you're looking for these ones here: identify and discuss 5 social ethical concerns. You are always going to be getting these questions, so you are looking for those ones there. So just do yourself a favor, maybe go to the question bank, which I was about to advise you to do. Just highlight the word ethical, for example. Just highlight the word ethical, and then you copy it. Then you can go and to your search button there, and then you can want to check for ethical. So it will give you every question that is for ethical. Then you just look at how they were answering in terms of what sort of ethical concerns you are likely to come with, right, or to come up with in any sort of exam or test question. So these ones, they always fit each other. You find that the ethical concerns that are in company A are similar to the ones that are in company B. So you can always get ideas from those previous questions. That is if you are not in a hurry to cram this or to learn this by head. You can simply test them from the study guide, right? Or better yet, you can even go and Google search. I think I did say this in the other class. Again, just go and Google search ethical concerns, ethical and environmental concerns. It will give you a list of such concerns. Then you can look for the ones that apply in this scenario. But once you check this and you know that you are relating to these questions relate to what D, then you can just go and read through on what D and see what's given there on what D. And then I was talking about the issues of formats again, that we use all the stickers that we use, the formats that they've provided for us. So if you look at a question like sales price variance, for instance, sales price variance. So what you can also do, you can pretty much do the same thing that I did with the ethical, right? You can just open your study guide, or you might want to open your question bank, and then just highlight this here, sales price variance, right? Then you copy it and then you go and search. So the solutions that you are going to get, they are going to give you the formula, right? You will have the formula, and then you will see the presentation of how we basically see how these questions, and how they expect these answers to be presented, right? It's unfortunate that our learning institutions really don't want us to think out of the box. Like, they just want us to do it the way they've provided for us. So we simply do it that way. So this is going to give you a formula. Purchase price variance is going to give you a formula again. So if ever you get a formula that's presented different from the one that you have, then you can quickly recalculate and see if you're getting the same solution as the one that I'm getting, of which most likely you will. You most likely getting the same solution, but then present it the same way that they want it in the study guide. Just do it that way. It's gonna be better. These guys, I'm sure they don't even have time to go through the script. They just look to see if what they have as the marking script, if it's the same as what you have on your script, and then they just tick OK. That's how they basically do it there. Right, so that's going to be your part to do, right? So theory, again, avoid taking the one that I'm going to send you. Just avoid it, or take a few things there. If it's going to be, say, this one here, 5 social, if I put in 5, maybe just choose 3 and then have 2 of your own, or choose 2 and then have 3 of your own. Just try and put a balance there. right? And then obviously my first two should not be your first two, right? Because obviously there's some other students that are basically gonna take this the way it is. So you just need to be on the lookout for that there. But on the balance of things, I think this was a fairly easy paper. It was a fairly easy paper. And then watch out again for the stuff that I did say this again with the other class, for the script that I posted in the group that's handwritten. So if it's handwritten, I'm not the one that's doing that. So you need to also recheck that one. So recheck everything, especially what's handwritten. So because what's handwritten, you don't know how much rounds it's doing. How much rounds it's doing. So the one that's safer is the one that's typed. It's a little bit safer because it's basically with us. It's basically with us here, maybe and a few other guys. So it's a little bit safer. But once it's printed, so once it's handwritten, then it's doing rounds. All right, so question A, we'll just discuss this now. So what's important again here is when you read a question like calculate the budgeted fixed manufacturing overheads allocation rate per direct labor clock hour for the 2023 financial year. So in your mind, you must already be thinking, okay, what formula am I going to use here? Right, what formula am I going to use for this question? So obviously, if you're dealing with budgeted fixed manufacturing overhead allocation rate, so you're looking for an overhead absorption rate or an overhead allocation rate. So necessarily, you're going to need your budgeted fixed costs, right? What kind are you going to need? You're going to need your manufacturing costs. These are the ones that you need. So you need to be careful on these questions, right? Read the question carefully and then you select the costs that are required carefully. So if it's budgeted fixed manufacturing costs, so which means that's what you are looking for in this scenario, right? And then since it's going to be a rate, then it must be divided by some sort of activity, some sort of level of activity, right? So sometimes it's going to be labor clock hours, sometimes it's going to be units, sometimes it's going to be machine hours. So for our case, it's either of those two, right? If it's not machine hours, it's going to be labor clock hours, and then if it's not that, then it's going to be, right? So you need to be on the lookout for that there. All right, so we will rush through the scenario there and then see what we can identify. So this was posted in the group. If you don't have this question paper, I'll repost it again after. I'm gonna repost it again after. All right, just give me a second. Sorry, someone is dialing up my number here. Right, so if you just joined us, this was the question paper that was written. So what we are gonna be writing in a few days' time is also costing. So it's not gonna be that different from this here. Right, it's not gonna be. I'm just responding to this one saying in class. Right. Just letting them know that I'm in class. All right, so we are gonna go through to the scenario now and see what we can pick up there. Right, what we're gonna pick up there from the scenario. And then I think the one other thing that helps here is I think the solutions that I'm gonna be putting up there to give us a bit of guidance. I'll just put in a slight explanation to explain, right? To explain what I'm doing. Not to explain as in we conduct classes, just to give explanation as to what figures I'm taking and why I'm taking the figures that you can see there. All right, so what we do now we are looking for fixed manufacturing overheads, right? That's one thing that we're looking for. What kind we need to budget it. So I suppose there's gonna be a sign there to show us that these ones are budgeted. Then from there, we want to deal with the clock hours. So we're just gonna do a quick one on this. So I'm just gonna answer selected questions here now. I'm just gonna answer selected questions here. All right, so let's jump to the scenario. Right, so we are dealing with what D. We are dealing with what D. So we have budgeted an actual management information. So our focus is going to be on the budgeted because we definitely need budgeted information. All right. So far, what we have, we are told that the annual maximum production capacity is 130,000, which is so 130,000 kgs, which is 130 tons there, which is for hot D, right? So hot D, we are doing 130 tons for basic, and then we are doing chocolate powder, 42 tons. So both of these are applicable there for that. All right, so let's have a look at the budgeted information now. Let's have a look at the budgeted information now. So the first thing that we need is the total budgeted fixed manufacturing overheads. Right, the total fixed manufacturing overhead. So let's just go and see where we can get that. Right, so nothing there. So budgeted fixed is normally going to be somewhere down there, right? And by the way, what D budgeted to produce at the annual maximum production capacity, so which is the one, and to sell all the units produced, so which is this one here, the one that was referred to at first, so which is the 130 tons and 42 tons. That's the information that's given there. But now we need budgeted fixed costs. And what kind of budgeted fixed costs we need? The manufacturing fixed costs, right? So we peruse down, so it's usually going to be towards the end. There you go. All right, so what is fixed manufacturing? The FMOs are allocated based on the budgeted direct labor clock hours, and then the total budgeted fixed or FMO for the year is 42,847.50. So that's the amount that we are going to use there. So let me just open an Excel sheet there. Right. Just going to open an Excel spreadsheet for us. I feel like this module is very simple. I feel like it's very, very simple. But special care needs to be taken. Right, so total budgeted fixed manufacturing overhead. So this one we've already been given there. It's 4,284,750. Right. So if there is any figure that you don't understand, you will let me know. If there is any figure that you don't understand, you just post in the group, say, I don't see where this amount is coming from. Please elaborate where this amount is coming from. I'll be more than ready to assist on that. Right. So, but that amount now, this amount 428,475 needs to be divided now by the level of activity. So which is going to be the labor clock hours, right? And then what kind budgeted, right? Then we are told that we have budgeted to produce at maximum capacity. So I'm just going to shorten the working for that there. Right. So we already saw that we are dealing with two products. We have a product called basic. Let's just call it B, and then we have product called Lux. So we have B and L. All right, then production capacity. Right, why do we need this? We need this because this production capacity determines how much clock hours we are going to put into production of these products, of these two products, right? So we know that one is 130. So of which 130 is basically 130,000 kgs, right? And then the other one we checked, and it was what? It was 42,000. I'm just going to take us there now. So that's the production capacity. So take note when you're doing these questions that your focus is on clock hours. You need clock hours, but in order for you to get the number of clock hours, you're going to start off with the units that you are planning to produce, because the units that you plan to produce basically determines the number of clock hours that you're going to put in that production, right? So don't stop there now. You are not going to take the units produced and then you divide by the budgeted, by the FMO, right? Sometimes we make that kind of mistake, some such mistakes, because we are so much in a hurry, right? So we want to do shortcuts there. But in any case, let's look at the clock hours there, right? Let's look at what they need to say there about the clock hours, right? And then again, okay, sorry, let me just hang up on this person here. You keep calling and calling and calling and calling. You say, I'm in class. I'll call right. I'm in class. Sorry about this. Sorry about this. All right. So the one thing that we need to watch out for now, right? Let me just take you again to the question, right? Back to this information that we have here, right? We need to be very much careful in terms of when dealing with units, right? So let's check here. They are saying what is annual maximum production is 130,000. So this is given in tons. So we have already converted ours into kgs, and then the basic hot chocolate powder, 42,000 tons. So a ton is not a unit, right? Unless they've specified so. And the kg is not a unit unless they've specified so. So we need to be on the lookout for those things. So, which means with every question now, you need to check 1 unit of basic contains 500 grams of basic hot chocolate, right? So which means 1 unit is 500 grams, and then here 1 unit is 300 grams. So which means to get the number of units, therefore, in order for us to get the number of units here, we need to convert these 130,000 tons into units, right? Bearing in mind that 1 unit is 500 grams, and then the other unit is 300 grams. Right? So how do you go about that? Let's go and do the working. So this is very important, right? So let's just put that there in terms of tons, right? This is very important, and we need to be on the lookout. This is tons, but now we need to convert these into units, right? How do we do that? So, okay, sorry, this is kgs, not tons. We've converted it. It was 130 tons, so we've converted. I'm gonna correct that now. So 130,000, and then we are told that for basic, each unit is 500 grams. So if each unit is 500 grams, and then we are planning to produce 130,000 kgs, how do we then get the number of units? Then we need to divide. So before we divide now, we need to have a common unit of measurement, right? We need to have a common unit of measurement. So it's gonna be difficult for you to deal with grams and then, divide tons directly by grams. It's gonna be very difficult. So you need to convert these into 1 unit of measurement. So we already converted these to kgs, so we can as well convert that to kgs as well, and then we can get to divide. Okay, so let's do that quickly. So this is kgs here, so this is kgs here. So it's gonna be 130,000. So for basic, we need to divide that by 0.5, so which is 500. 500 grams is basically 0.5 kgs. It's half of that, right? And then for the other one, it's 42,000. And then we are dividing, I think it's 300 for that one, 300 grams. So that's the working that we put in on that one there. All right, let's push this over this side. All right, so the units that we are dealing with is going to be equal to 130,000 divided by 0.5. Then here it's going to be 42,000 divided by 0.3. So again, where am I taking these amounts? We're basically taking these amounts from there. So 500 grams is 0.5 kgs, 300 grams is 0.3. Right, and then 130 tons is 130,000. 42 is 42,000. That's where we are getting that. Why are we doing that? We are basically trying to convert these into units, right? These tons are not going to help us much, but we need these tons converted into units. Why are we doing so? Because the clock minutes are given as per unit, right? They are given as per unit, right? And then before you ask me the question, I'm going to answer it. Standard labor clock hours is the budgeted labor clock minutes here, right? Standard is the same as the budgeted, so we are making use of that there. So what does this mean? Standard labor clock minutes per unit. So in order for us to manufacture 1 unit, we basically need 12 minutes for basic, and then 1 unit of lax needs 15. So the big question now is, how many hours does it take for us to manufacture the units that we were budgeted for? That's what we want. That's basically what we want. So how do we go about that? So an hour is 60 minutes. So 12 over 60 times the number of units that we are budgeting to do for basic. 15 over 12, so 15 over 60 times the number of units that we are planning to do for lax. Right, so we have 12 and 15, so let's put that there on the working. So now we can say clock hours, which can basically be labor clock hours, right? Someone is in the waiting room, right? Someone is in the waiting room. Let's add Steven. All right. So this is 260,000. So we are planning to do 260,000 units for basic, and then each unit requires 12 minutes. So how many hours is that? It's gonna be 12 divided by 6, right? And then what about for lax? 140,000, and then we are dividing that by what? Lax, we are told is 15 minutes, so each unit requires 15 minutes. So we are multiplying 15 minutes, and then we need to divide that now by 60 to get the number of hours. Running out of space again. Let's push this over that side. All right, so a simple calculation, 206,013 times 12 divided by 60. Right, it gives us 52,000, so it's gonna be 52,000 hours, right? And then 140,000 to 3 times 15 divided by 60, giving us 35,000. So which means in terms of clock hours, we are therefore, in our minds, we therefore want to use 52,000 clock hours on basic and then 35,000 clock hours on lax. But why do we need this information? We need the total of this so that we can divide by that, right? So that it can basically give us the overhead absorption rate, right? The overhead absorption rate. Let's put it over this side. So now that you check the formula, you will see that it's going to be your FMO divided by, say, activity. So which would normally put it as level of activity, right? So it needs to be the total of these two now. So what's the total there? Total is going to be 52 plus 35, so it's going to be 87. So based on that there, we are basically dividing 4284 750 divided by 87,000. Right. What's the answer there? So if you can punch it in with me, 4284,750 divided by 87,000. So that should pretty much give us 49.25. 49.25. That's fairly easy. So the confusion comes here. This is where most of the confusion comes. Right? This is where most of the confusion comes. It's easier for you to just take 4284 and deal with it in terms of the total units. Then you get it per unit. But look, the question says per hour, so you need to get the budgeted hours. So you're not always going to be given the budgeted hours. You will need to find the budgeted hours. So watch out on that there. So where does this come in handy again? So this OAR, what is this used for? Right. What is this used for? This overhead allocation, right? So remember that we are dealing with budgeted information, right? And then in one of the classes, I was mentioning that the reason why we are using budgeted information, this is mainly used for, the OAR is mainly used for assessing or evaluating or valuing, rather, valuing your inventories, right? Which is basically your cost of production, right? So when you are dealing with fixed manufacturing overheads, the only time you know the actual fixed manufacturing overheads is when you have already completed the year, right? When you have gone through the year, that's when you know that, okay, we incurred, say, 5 million fixed manufacturing overheads. That's the only time that you'll be having that kind of information. But before then, you will have to make use of your budgeted information. Obviously, your budgeted information is not guesswork. It's going to be based on your past experiences, right? It's going to be based on that. So you want to estimate the cost of production, right, before it even comes about, right? For example, at the beginning of the year, you want to make decisions such as, okay, how am I gonna, what's the selling price of this item of stock? Then you might want to know how much does it cost you to produce those, but you don't have the actual information, right? So you need to make use of that information. So which means at the end of the day, your trading and profit and loss account contains inventory, and that inventory is gonna be valued in terms of the fixed manufacturing overheads. It's gonna be valued using the budgeted information. So in any case, we don't expect the budgeted information to change. We don't expect changes on the budgeted information because it's a fixed cost, right? By definition, fixed costs don't change in the short run. Right? So we expect that the amounts are generally going to be the same. So at the end of the day, you can basically estimate that if you produced 260,000 units, for instance, on basic, then if you multiply that by 49.25, it would give you a rough estimate of how much fixed cost you incurred in that production there. Right. So the actual and the budgeted will not always be the same. And when it's not the same, then there arises the issue of over absorption and under absorption, which we are going to deal with, I'm sure, sometime later, but not today. All right, so we are going to move on from this now. The one other thing that I would want to highlight here is on joint and byproducts, right? Joint and byproducts. Joint and byproducts. Right. So once you are asked to, okay, let's just be perusing through this again. Let's just be perusing through this. Okay, so assume that the standard fixed manufacturing overhead rate is 50 Rand and the actual is that. Calculate the over and the under. Right. So here you are most likely going to be doing, let's see, the product type. Right, you're going to be doing the product type. So this year, you are basically taking the 50 Rand. Right, you're basically taking the 50 Rand, and then we are looking at the actual hours that we used. So 50 Rand and actual hours, it's going to give you a certain amount, which is going to be the fixed manufacturing rate based on the actual hours. And then you're going to compare those two there. Right? You're going to compare those two there. Then it's either going to give you an over or an under absorption. So it's just 4 marks. Nothing much was expected on that. Then budgeted margin of safety, nothing much expected on that one there. Right? Let's see if there is a. All right, so it starts off here. It starts off here. Comment on the appropriateness of using the sales value at split off point method to calculate, to allocate the joint costs and yes, the joint costs to the joint product. So when you get a question like this, which is asking you about the appropriateness of a certain thing, to cut the long story short, if you are stuck on this, you are simply looking for the advantages of that kind of method. It can be the sales value, it can be the net realizable value, it can be the physical measures. We are basically looking for the advantages. So you can simply Google them. Right? It's just 2 marks there. So ideally, it's just 1 or 2 points that you can put in on that one there. All right, let's see what else we can talk about here. Right, these questions from a quantitative perspective, these ones are very common there. So we need to watch out for those ones here. From a quantitative perspective, advise CBIN on whether to further process the cocoa cake into cocoa powder during the 2024 financial year as part of, and then as part of your advice, you must provide a reason based on the relevant costing principles. So here we're talking about why certain things need to be included in our costs and why other things need not to be included in our costs. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I already have the solutions for these. Right, so can I give you a bit of time to attempt it, and then once you're in need of these solutions, you just let me know, and I'm gonna forward the solutions to you there. I'm just gonna forward the solutions to you, and then we can peruse through. So I expect that what we're gonna be writing soon is not gonna be that different from what we are having here. I'm not sure about mark allocation. This was out of 100. Maybe ours is gonna be out of slightly less than that, perhaps 60. So, but whatever the case, we are ready for it. I don't know if you have any questions. So what you need to watch out for, right? What you need to watch out for is the issue that I'm talking about, the issue of units of measurements, right? The issues of units of measurements, because that's where most of our marks fall, right? On the issues of the units of measurements. That's where it gets confusing. Sometimes, but sometimes on those issues, you find that we'll be dealing with the unit costs, right? You'll be dealing with the unit cost. Let's see if I can pick up a quick example here on where that comes, where that usually becomes an issue, right? So if you look at this here for basic and lax, the cocoa powder, you're given that it's 100 grams. So you're given that it's 80 grams. That one, it's 170 grams. So you need to basically train yourself to maneuver between grams, kgs, tons, liters, milliliters, etc. All right, so if we don't have any questions, then any more questions, you just refer to the group, right? So if you need solutions. I've got solutions for this, but they are per question, but solutions per question. So if you need solutions, you just let me know in the group that please provide us with solution for question for part what, then I can check that for you and send you, and then you can ask questions based on that. All right, other than that, bye and good night. Enjoy the rest of your evening.